Let's maul in the Central Committee. Let's cringe in the Central Committee. Let's bog in the Central Committee right now.
Racism is dehumanizing. I think he might have gotten one right, chat. He may have gotten one right. Andrew Yang may have gotten one right. We have ourselves the story that we've been waiting to talk about all day today. Steven Crowder is a complete racist piece of shit. I'm going to show you a clip from Steven Crowder. I want you to understand something. He's a vile scumbag, and we reject all of this garbage, okay? He is a piece of human trash. And I want to show you what is considered mainstream conservatism. And if you think this is okay, please do let me know.
I don't know where you find this many farmers of color, but they did, and $5.2 billion are being allocated exclusively for colored farmers. Farmers of color, roll the tape.
We begin today's show looking at a major provision in President Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill that aims to address decades of discrimination against Black, Hispanic, Native American and Asian American farmers who've historically been excluded from government agricultural programs. The American Rescue Plan sets aside $10.4 billion for agriculture support and allocates about half the funds to farmers of color who are, quote, subjected to racial or ethnic prejudice because of their identity as members of a group, unquote. The U.S. Commission on Civil Rights confirmed as long ago as 1965 the U.S. Department of Agriculture discriminated against Black farmers, but little was done to address the problem.
100 years ago? 1965 wasn't 100 years ago! Both of my parents were alive in 1965, you dumb fuck. Which means there are people alive today who that discrimination damaged directly. That wasn't even close to 100 years ago. And that was, chat, by the way, explicit discrimination through 1965. We're not even talking about implicit discrimination. We're not talking about the fact that Black people suddenly weren't given farms.
Yeah, most happy about the new policy, these people. So, yeah. I'm gonna buy a plow, man!
I'm gonna plant that corn.
Go get a John Deere. Barack Obama, mother, I'm the president of plowing that ass. You.
I thought the last thing they would want to do was be farmers. Wasn't that a big problem for hundreds of years?
Yeah.
Isn't that why Arsenio Hall called himself the urban man's Johnny Carson?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't know. Are people lining up out in the middle of cornfield, Iowa for new dunks?
How would you prove this, by the way? Like, how would you prove that you've been discriminated against?
You don't have to. You just
Well, I didn't get that loan. Sir, you had no credit. Well, that should not have stopped me from getting the loan.
I planted a...
So, I want to stop it right here because that's racist. I want to explain why what that guy just said is racist. Because a lot of conservatives, that'll just pass right over their head and they won't even remark it. He just said, Black people don't get loans purely because of credit. Now, yesterday, we talked about a Black man who had a 6-figure salary, 20% equity in his home, and an 800 FICO credit score, and he was denied multiple loans because of his race. The first bank refused to offer him a loan at all. A second bank offered him a loan at a higher interest rate than the loan he already had. And it wasn't until he stopped reporting his race that suddenly he got competitive market rate loans. Weird that Black people with the same credit and same employment situation as similarly situated white people are not eligible for the loans to this day. And furthermore, banks are loath to give black people loans in neighborhoods that are not doing so well economically. Redlining, but it's not because you're in a black neighborhood. You're in an economically distressed neighborhood, so we're not going to give you that loan. That's the type of stuff that goes on routinely today.
A Hennessy tree, but it's not growing.
Well, technically it did grow, but that shit ain't XO.
I put it in the ground.
I planted a VSOP XO tree. I'm getting in some niche esoteric cognac humor, motherfucker.
Don't white people just go to their neighborhoods and build urban farms and ruin their communities? Isn't that what white
how it works in Detroit? Like, turns out the soil content is a high level of meth.
Yeah, crazy. Whoa.
Wow, I didn't know.
That and teeth. There's random teeth littered everywhere.
And by the way,
pain in my arugula.
That was racist from top to bottom. And this is the type of stuff that's acceptable for conservatives. If you're a black conservative and you watch that, how could you be anything but totally and fucking completely disgusted and outraged? Like, wouldn't you look at that and be like, my God, this is a program to help people, because very few black and brown people are actually farmers in America, because, you know, they mentioned, why are they trying to get into farming? Wasn't that a problem for a few hundred years? Hey, dumbass, I know you don't know this, but the slaves didn't own the farm. See, they worked for free, and they got slop and lived in clapboard houses, and they didn't even get soap in many cases. You know, all the production they put in went to the rich slave owner who sat in the big mansion, you know, with his feet up. That they weren't paid for the agricultural work they did for hundreds of years. Are you suggesting that maybe we owe black people something? Maybe we should pay some sort of repair. We should repair the damage done. You know, and it's hard to, you know, we can't go back in time and stop the slavery from happening. So would have to pay like monetary damages to like as reparations for the harm we caused, you know, maybe pay reparations to black people. I don't know. Just a wild idea. And this is just to close this out, this is a $1.9 trillion bill. And they trolled through it to find a small rounding error, $5 billion program to help people that are clearly and unequivocally harmed by these racist policies in the past. Unequivocally. There's no question here. We know that black people were forbidden from qualifying for these programs. We know that they didn't get any, you know, when slaves were freed, the original promise was 40 acres and a mule. It never happened. As Martin Luther King Jr. said, freedom wasn't real freedom. It was freedom to the winds and rains of heaven. They were bootless, literally barefoot. That's what happened when America freed the slaves. And many black Americans found themselves back at their old slave owner's door saying, I'll work for you as a sharecropper. So it went from literal chattel slavery to debt peonage, where these black people were forced into one-sided contracts and they would work the same fields they worked as slaves for a tiny, meager wage. That's why black people, a large segment of the population, is still concentrated in the Deep South. You could see the legacy of what I just talked about in the physical distribution of black people in America. Why do you think this is the way it is? I want to show you this. That's the African American population in 1850. And this is today. African American population in 1850. This is today. Doesn't seem like there's much of a difference now, does it? Looks pretty much identical, doesn't it? Pretty fucking wild. Pretty fucking wild. Blacks as percentage of the population in 2019. But hey, yeah, slavery was hundreds of years ago. Doesn't have any bearing on today. You're talking about the same black conservatives who wear this drip.
I have to say this, and I'll sit down. Back during slavery, when black people like me talked to the slaves, they didn't kill him. They'd send some old house Negro along behind him to undo what he said. You have to read the history of slavery to understand this. There were two kinds of Negroes. There was that old house Negro and the field Negro. And the house Negro always looked out for his master. When the field Negroes got too much out of line, he held them back in check. He put them back on the plantation. The house Negro could afford to do that because he lived better than the field Negro. He ate better, he dressed better, and he lived in a better house. He lived right up next to his master in the attic or the basement. He ate the same food his master ate and wore his same clothes. And he could talk just like his master. Good diction. And he loved his master more than his master loved himself. That's why he didn't want his master hurt. If the master got sick, he'd say, "What's the matter, boss? We sick?" He was as sick as the master. When the master's house caught a fire, he'd try and put the fire out. He didn't want his master's house burned. He never wanted his master's property threatened. And he was more defensive of it than the master was. That was the house Negro. But then you had some field Negroes who lived in huts, had nothing to lose. They wore the worst kind of clothes. They ate the worst food. And they caught hell. They felt the sting of the lash. They hated their master. Oh, yes, they did. If the master got sick, they prayed that the master died. If the master's house caught a fire, they prayed for a strong wind to come along. This was the difference between the two. And today you still have house Negroes and field Negroes.
Anyway, that was just a clip from Malcolm X, one of the leaders of the civil rights movement. Wow. We do politics here every morning starting at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. You can watch us here on Twitch. We're the morning guy, the morning politics guy, Politics Frogs, in every single day, same time, 10 a.m., day in, day out. And we carry you through your morning and early afternoon politics needs. And if you need more, Mike from PA, we have a YouTube channel. We talked about suburbs, the My Pillow guy, Ted Cruz. We talked about DSA. Amazing. Making fun of Tim Pool. Amazing. Look at all of these amazing videos. Get in there, watch them. We have me on Twitter. You got to follow me on Twitter, chat. I'm at 20,614 subs. That means I got like 40 followers on Twitter in the last day. You can do better than that. You can do better than that. Go follow us on Twitter. And of course, join the Discord, where we have an incredible community of left-wing streamers. We have left-wing community. We talk about the stream. We talk about politics. There's gaming content. It's a really awesome, supportive place. Direct action, mutual aid, and you can just let off some steam. And also, you can help produce the show. One of the things I do is I look at the links that are put into the news content suggestions chat room on the Discord. Join the Discord, come hang out, and maybe what you want me to talk about will be part of the next show.